Hey guys, how's it going? I am Danconia and welcome to the Overwatch World Cup Roundup. Yes, so that's it. That is it for the Overwatch World Cup qualifiers. We have all 8 teams which will be going to Blizzcon to compete in those finals. But, of course, we've got some results to run over. Some results were rather surprising. Some results went as expected for our European qualifiers. So we will start off with the Netherlands taking on France. France, arguably the strongest team in this group, and they showed that with a 4-0 thrashing of the Netherlands. The Netherlands aren't necessarily a bad team, but they came up against a really good team. And, you know, no arguments here. France looked dominant and deserved the win. Next up was an interesting match. Germany taking on the United Kingdom. United Kingdom, second best team, you would assume, in this group of teams. Germany perhaps the third best, but Germany were looking to cause an upset, because if anyone was going to upset either France or the United Kingdom to go to BlizzCon, it would be Germany or perhaps the Netherlands. Now, Germany taking on the United Kingdom was a fairly big game for Germany. It's one they would have to win if they wanted to go to BlizzCon, but they didn't. United Kingdom win this 3-1. It's an interesting one, I must admit. The United Kingdom didn't completely dominate this, but it was dominant enough to display to show that they were a really good team and a team to be reckoned with in these qualifiers. Moving on, we had Poland taking on Italy. Now, this was a clash of the underdogs, you might say. Both teams were not expected to qualify. Italy squeezed through with a 3-2 win over Poland. The Netherlands then went and took on Germany. Now, this was, in my opinion, a big game for Germany. Germany had to dominate this game if they were to stand any chance of going to BlizzCon. The problem is, Germany didn't dominate it, but they didn't even win it. They lost 3-1 to the Netherlands. That is a really bad result for Germany, in my opinion. If they wanted to stand a chance to go to BlizzCon, that kind of, even on day one, kind of threw it out the window, because the United Kingdom beating Germany kind of gave us an indication that the United Kingdom were going to do fairly well against the likes of Italy, Poland and the Netherlands. So it kind of put a nail in, or one of the nails in Germany's coffin already, and you can probably get the idea of where I'm going with this. But the Netherlands, yes, they lost 4 out of France, but that's a really good result for the Netherlands. Beating Germany 3-1, that put them in their position at which they could challenge the United Kingdom and perhaps France if France were to lose a game. After this, we had the United Kingdom in action again against Poland, and as you expect, and as I said just now, the United Kingdom did fairly well against these teams. They 4-0'd Poland. That's kind of what you would expect from a team that's got really decent and experienced players in it. So, no surprises here that Poland lost heavily. Day 2, we start off with Germany taking on France. Now, this is another big game for Germany. They have to take on the best team in the group. Let's not throw around maybe or could be or on papers. France are the best team in the group. Let's not argue that. They have the most Overwatch League players. They have the most high tier players. Doesn't always make you the best, but on paper that makes you the best. So Germany were looking to cause quite an upset here. And to be quite honest, they did cause a bit of a shock because they took France to 5 maps. They did eventually lose to France though 3-2, which kind of ended their hopes of going to BlizzCon. This was an eye-opener. I think Soon said it. This German team caught France off guard for some reason. So the UK actually achieved a better result over Germany than France did. So this would set up quite an interesting game on the last day when the United Kingdom took on France. Moving on after that, we had Italy taking on the Netherlands. Now, after the Netherlands' performance against Germany, there is no surprises here that the Dutch do beat Italy. It's 3-1 though. If it was 4-0 for the Dutch, then maybe that's a better result, but in the end it doesn't turn out to matter too much. Then we have Poland taking on Germany. Now, this again was a bit of a downer on Germany, because this was 3-2 to the Germans. Yes, it was a win, but it wasn't a convincing win over a team that, I'm just going to say it here, they were pummeled pretty much throughout this stage. They finished bottom of the group. Germany needed to win this convincingly, and they didn't. I was disappointed with Germany, to be quite honest with you. I thought they put up more of a fight against some of the teams, and they didn't. A disappointing display from Germany, but a win nonetheless. 3-2 over Poland. Then we had Italy taking on France. Again, no surprises here. Italy go in as massive underdogs and get swept aside by France 4-0. No surprises there. Then, a fairly big game for the Netherlands. They would take on the United Kingdom. Now, the Netherlands have been getting some fairly good results coming into this, beating Germany 3-1, beating Italy 3-1, but they did get 4-0 by France. If they wanted a chance to go to Blizzcon, they had to beat the United Kingdom. But let's be honest, they didn't get close. 4-0 for the United Kingdom, a professional job from the Brits, and this kind of ended the Netherlands' hopes of going to BlizzCon, unless the UK really did cock up on the last day, which, to be quite honest, did any of us really expect them to. Day 3 saw Italy taking on Germany. At this point, this was a dead rubber. Neither of them could qualify, but Germany did get the win 3-1. France. Now, remember, there's still a tussle between France and the United Kingdom for top seed. France go and 4-0 Poland. As we would expect, Poland really weren't able to compete with the other teams around them, apart from Germany, which is, again to me was a surprise. So France get the win here, and they continue to stay top of this group. Then we have the United Kingdom in action against Italy. They had to do the same thing, and they did. To no one's surprise, they 4-0 Italy, and then they keep the pressure on France, building up to the final game of the day. But before that, we had Poland taking on the Netherlands. These two, it was impossible for them to qualify. At this point, the United Kingdom and France are going to BlizzCon. We just don't know in what order. So the Netherlands taking on Poland. Again, the Netherlands had a really good showing, and if they were put with, like, yeah, I'm trying to say this in a good way. You say the Thailand qualifiers, you put the Netherlands in those Thailand qualifiers, I think they have a chance. But the United Kingdom and France really stood out in this group stage, and I didn't see anyone else qualifying. But they do 4-0 Poland as expected. The Netherlands finish third. So, we come down to the match of the weekend. The United Kingdom taking on the homeboys in France. Now, this would decide who would go in as top seed, and that makes a big difference when it comes to the Overwatch World Cup. The United Kingdom have a good team. Very experienced in the Overwatch scene. They have an Overwatch League support in Boombox, who can flex to the Roadhog, who can flex to the Ana. He played a lot of Ana. There was a lot of Ana around, actually. And a lot of 3-3 goats, if you don't know what 3-3 is. So, the United Kingdom, one really promising thing from their qualifiers this year that I've seen is they are more flexible than they were last year. Last year, they dominated their qualifying. They finished without losing a map, but they played solid dive. Dive all the time. Dive. The problem with that was, when they got to BlizzCon, the meta had changed and we had the Mercy rework. And this was Insta double res Mercy, right? So Mercy was in every game. The UK didn't have a Mercy player. So, yeah. Didn't do too well when they came up against Sweden, the eventual third place team. But this United Kingdom looks like a much more well-rounded team. They can play dive, they can play goats, they can play quad tank. Still a bit iffy on the Mercy play, but again, Mercy is not called into action too often, but when it was called into action, it was decent enough. France, however, they've always been fairly flexible, and they have the experience of multiple Overwatch League players, and if they're not Overwatch League players, they're generally Contenders players. They were too good. They were just too good, and we kind of expected this. The issue I have is France actually 4-0'd the United Kingdom, which I didn't expect. I thought the UK would take at least a map, if not take it to 5 maps. But France were frighteningly dominant in these qualifiers, apart from the slip up against Germany. Honestly, if they don't slip up against Germany, they go without losing a map. That's dominance against... Look, Germany, the Netherlands and the United Kingdom, especially the United Kingdom, they're not shabby, they're good teams. So France really made a statement in these qualifiers, and they made it through as top seed. The United Kingdom would go through as second seed. Blizzcon roster completed. So, I'll run you through the group. France finished top, United Kingdom finished second, the Netherlands finished third, Germany finished fourth, Italy finished fifth, and Poland would finish bottom of the group in sixth. No map differential was needed here. They all had a clear win over each other. The United Kingdom finished on 4-1, France finished on 5-0, the Netherlands finished on 3-2, Germany finished on 2-3, Italy 1-4, and Poland 0-5. No wins on the board. And after that, after all that was done, we had the draw for BlizzCon. Now, the draw for BlizzCon was interesting, shall we say, because of course you then have your number 1 seeds and your number 2 seeds. Of course the seeds would be drawn against each other. You could not have a number 1 seed taking on another number 1 seed, because that wouldn't make any sense. So the draw worked as all the number 1 seeds were picked out, and then you get the second seeds, and they would take on those who they've been picked out against. You could not draw the team you played against in the group stage. So Australia couldn't draw against China. The USA couldn't draw against Canada. France couldn't draw against the United Kingdom. And Finland couldn't be drawn against South Korea. The number 1 seeds were France, the USA, China, and South Korea, the people who won their qualifiers. Second seeds were obviously Canada, the United Kingdom, Finland, and Australia. And the draw is as follows. We have a blockbuster for the first match. The Battle of the French-speaking nations, or I know it's not the first language in one of these nations, but we have France taking on Canada. That should be one hell of a match. And I really, really can't give you a winner. I can't predict a winner on that one. That's a really close matchup. Tank play for Canada might just be slightly better, but it could be really close. Really, really close. So that should be a really awesome game to watch. On the same side of the bracket, you will have China facing Finland. Again, this is an interesting one. Finland weren't as good as I expected them to be. I thought they struggled against some of the lesser teams, but they did get through nonetheless. China were better than expected and knocked out the third place team from last year in Sweden. So this could be quite a close matchup, but I actually think Finland might edge it. But you never know. Then we have the dreaded South Korea. Everyone does not want to draw South Korea. Unfortunately, it's the people from Down Under's turn to deal with South Korea. Australia will play South Korea at BlizzCon in the first match. I do feel sorry for you. I really do. That's a really harsh draw for Australia. I think if they get drawn against... Well, to be quite honest, I think they'd struggle against any team they could have drawn, because they couldn't draw China. So you put them up against the USA or France. I still think Australia lose, but I'd love to see Australia put up a really, really big fight against South Korea. And I think they could do it, but you have to go with South Korea as favourites for that one. That obviously leaves the Battle of the Pond, as I want to call it. The USA will play the United Kingdom. Yeah, not the draw the UK wanted, but it should be an interesting match. You have to make USA overwhelming favourites for it. That does mean that the semi-final would be the USA taking on South Korea. Yeah, that was a quarter-final last year, and that was a blockbuster match, well worthy of a final. So, there are your 8 teams for BlizzCon. There are the 4 games that will take place as your quarter-finals. You would have to expect, I would make South Korea and USA favourites for that side of the bracket. Then it's anyone's guess for that semi-final. The other side of the bracket, I would expect your finalists to be someone out of France or Canada. But you don't know. It could really be... It could be interesting and someone might surprise us. You never know, Australia might knock out South Korea. What a shocker that would be. Don't see it happening, but it would be a shock, right? If there's any year, and I'm going to round up with this, if there is any year where we could see South Korea dethroned from their World Cup title, I think it's a really strong year for that. The USA, providing we get the semi-final we would expect, the USA taking on South Korea, I think the USA have a really good chance of beating South Korea this year round. They weren't far off doing it last year, but to be quite honest, that was before the birth of the Overwatch League. These USA players play against these Korean players week in, week out in the Overwatch League these days. And so, they know how they play. They know how to counter certain comps that they never would have dreamed of before. Same with Canada and France. They have experienced Overwatch League players. Same with Finland, in Timing and people like that. The problem is, I think you rely, and I think we will see this in future, your teams that will get to the latter stages of the World Cup, and I'm not talking round of 8 quarterfinals, which is what we're at now. I'm talking about getting to the semi-finals and the final. I think you will rely on having a lot of Overwatch League players that play against high-level Koreans or higher-level American players or European players week in, week out, and that have some understanding of how to play against comps that you wouldn't see, perhaps even in contenders. So this is where I think teams like China, Finland, Australia, the United Kingdom will struggle. And that's why I'm pipping teams, the USA and South Korea to get to the semi-final on one side of the bracket, and Canada or France to be in the final. Because I think they have much more experience in them from a higher level of Overwatch to break through the barrier of quality between some teams and not others. Finland are a really good team and they could cause an upset for Canada or France. We could see Canada in the final for the 2nd year in a row, which would be really good for the people from North America. We could see a USA-Canada final. It's not beyond reason to have that final these days. You look back at the previous 2 years and South Korea were a massive threat and feared by all teams, and they still are by most. But teams like the Canadas, the USAs, the French, they could beat South Korea. And to be quite honest, no offense to you South Koreans, I love you, but I'd love to see someone else on the throne. So we'll have to wait and see. That is the Overwatch World Cup 2018 qualifiers over with. Now we have to wait until the 2nd of November, BlizzCon, when we will see the quarterfinals take place. We will see these 4 matches, and then we will see the semi-finals, and then we'll see the final. And of course that couples with Overwatch announcements and crazy stuff, loads of crazy stuff that goes on at BlizzCon. I will be covering it when that comes around. But this is the end of the Overwatch World Cup Roundup for now, until BlizzCon. I'm not sure how to work out BlizzCon, to be quite honest with you, as it takes place on consecutive days. There might be a video every day going over the results, I don't know. That will be something for then, so if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do hit that button, and I will have some updates before BlizzCon, I would expect. I don't know, we'll probably do a preview going into BlizzCon, but to have a look at the teams and where perhaps they stand in a more in-depth sort of thing. And then of course we have the build-up to the Overwatch League. That's heightening now because we now have Hagapan back in the Overwatch League, playing for the Florida Mayhem. You may remember him from his London Spitfire days. There's a lot going on in the Overwatch League, and rumours, just rumours, that Defran may make a return. Imagine that. Anyway, that's going to be it for the Overwatch World Cup Qualifiers Roundup for this year. We are waiting on the finals at BlizzCon on the 2nd of November, but for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.